We have learned how to make clones at incredible speed. But will we remember how to create something never before? If every education system teach you how to do it correctly, every home investors ask you what this market has. Anyone done it? And all the advice starts industry encourages you to start from do the easy things first, what's left? For those who want to create something that has not been created yet ever existed? Is there room for an idea? Think of going against the current. Not originating from data, not verified by human different and no proof of concept beyond your own deepest intuition. If you can't win by improving to advance the old, you may have to abandon it. Must have been the game to build a game completely different, where the first person arrived is the winner. The question is no longer how to be successful, that is possible, what is worthy if you just go the path of others. This book not about running faster. It asked why are you running in the same direction as crowd from the start? This is an invitation. For those who are tired of doing repeat and begin to doubt that the future true hybrids cannot be born from imitation. Before. We encourage listeners buy and read to get the full experience. The entire content of the book. Because only when you read the whole book, you will understand the nature of the problem you are hearing me tell. Now let's start summarizing with me. This book. If I ask you something is the truth, a great truth that is almost if no one agrees with you, you will pay what do you say? I have asked that question hundreds of times. Each time is an interview, an insight into the brain and character of a person. That question seems simple but actually a threshold, the first door to determine who is capable creating the new and who is living in the new shadow of the old world. One person responded, I said, our education system has big problem, may be true, but also nonsense. Everyone has said it. One says there is no God, another says there is no God. Universal proposition in countless arguments meaningless. I am not looking for words, declare loudly. I look for those who can see something that others cannot not seen. I call it a fact paradox, something that most of the world believe in the good while you yourself seeing him again is the truth. Answer the right words will make the listener silent because it's not just backwards, it's true. Irrefutable level even though no one dares say it. That question is not for fun letter. It is the foundation for how I see get the future and how I lived. Head thoughts, failures and rebirths over 20 years through in the startup world. Soy sauce tomorrow is not just a series of repeating tomorrows back today with a few tweaks. Future. If it is the future then it must be different, radical, even bizarre. Strange. If you think the future is a place where everything will be copied from what was, if you know, you are living in an illusion of expansion. But if you realize that what is significant in history is starting from scratch, then you will understand why I call this book is 0 to 1. There is a difference, profound difference between going from 1 to n and from 0 to 1. As you go from 1 to, you expand what already exists. Build more houses, people store version, speed up the process, but from 0 to 1, you create what never was. You don't go further, you go astray. From the old path, you do not increase, chief, you overthrow. You can clone hundreds of typewriters, that's 1 to n. But when you create a processor text, which changes the way people communication, writing and language shaping language, you went from 0 to 1. That doesn't easy. Most people are afraid of creativity, afraid of new and especially fear of difference. But I've lived long enough to know why. Copying will make you drift with the crowd, creativity will give you a reason to exist. I look at China, a superpower. Copying countries at the speed of light. There, everything is simulated from the other way west, railways, buildings, consumer goods, even the city. China is go from 1 to n in a huge way, but that is not enough. Copying can do rich, but will suffocate the world if lack of creativity. Imagine, if 14 billion Chinese people live like normal people. America, every house has an air conditioner, 1 cars, a consumer lifestyle, then the earth this will burn up in less than a generation. System no, I'm not pessimistic, I just not naive. I believe in technology not as a new toy but as a sole means of promoting species people go up a higher rung. Labor art in a deep sense not only is it software or hardware, it is any which method helps us do more. With less, help us live differently. But there is an ironic paradox. Although technology is the only thing that can save us from boring repetition, very few people are actually make it. Our parents used to dream of a bright future, house on the beach moon, flying car, working 4 days a week. But they were disappointed because they thought those things would happen by themselves. And then they grow old in a world where only the internet is really changing everything. Still, roads, education, energy quantity, politics, all stand still place. It's not that no one is smart. But because so many smart people choose safe road, work and practice large group, follow the process fear of mistakes, fear shy, afraid of losing. I studied at Stanford, a school full of smart people but most good students do not know use your talents for something surname learn to prepare for something nameless, an unknown job, the future is vague, good but open. I do not accept that I teach a class. Starting a business is not about passing on knowledge. Awake. I don't believe in manuals. Startup I believe in first thinking Prince King. Something that can expose everything pattern and re-question from the background nail. One of my students, masters, took very careful notes of the lecture. Those notes were shared widely. More than I thought, it was the seed for this book. And I want this clear. Not to one is not a textbook startup, it is a manifesto, a call, a reminder that if you want to build the future, you have to dare to think alone, dare to believe in secrets and dare to bet all for what people other unseen. That's how I did it live, that's how I invested and that's how I saw PayPal, Palantir, Facebook spec is not by luck by believing in paradoxes correct. I want to tell you a story small matter in 2001, I sat in a meeting with a group young students, some of them full of enthusiasm. We will create a tool, he said. Better search than Google. I asked, is there how many people in the world are thinking the same? You. He laughed, probably thousands. I nodded, said softly, so maybe you're going from 1 to n. The scary thing is not to make something that already exists. Worthwhile fear is that you don't realize you're doing it so. The world today is not lacking talented but seriously lacking people who dare to be different. And that the paradox is that the better they are, the more afraid they are. Deviate from the crowd. They are trained to compete, to win, to be right but not to have to ask questions. I want you to imagine this. Suppose you could choose one technology for future development humanity. What would you choose? Not easy to pay word. Right? We live in an age where imagination is shaped by what is. You can see both hundreds of different food delivery apps. But very few people are thinking about how to change the way we digestion of food or how energy without eating we just change the shell but not the version matter. I don't tell this in a low voice. Decry. I tell with deep sadness sharp. Because I know in every person everyone alive today has a potential. Creativity is locked by education, by society, by prejudice, and worst of all by ourselves fear of failure. I used to be scared when I was a kid. Is a law student. I think the best way is to become Supreme Court attorney. I'm close to got it but then got eliminated. At that time I think the world is falling apart forever after me. I just realized, if I succeed, maybe I can sat writing contracts all my life instead write software. That failure saved me. You see, society will praise you. If you are good in their way. But that the world does not need more people to comply, it need redefining. And that never come from memorization. Heart. Now back to the question. Opening an important fact that very few people know. Who agrees with you? This is my answer. Most people think the future of the world will be determined by globalization. But it is true that the future will be decided by technology. I believe that with all my life. My life, because if you just copy old ways, go global, you will copy both mistakes, both crises, both pollution, both injustice. Only technology understands the deepest meaning is the lever to humanity leaps out of the vicious circle. Hang around. I look back, from 1914 to 1971, technology boom but globalization stop. After 1971, globalization accelerates but technology just repeats itself, except less. From until now, we have not had a meeting any real revolution in energy, health, transportation or education. And that the danger is that people begin to forget that the world has changed dramatically. They will realize that procrastination is normal. That is not normal world subject to change. But it doesn't change because more people work harder. It changes because someone sees it. Does not exist yet and believe that it can be created. Someone once asked me, Peter, do you think Elon Musk is crazy when wanting to send humans to Mars? I answer yes, and I know he will. Okay. Because only those who dare to be crazy. New logic changes the world. Technology does not come from a lab. Name. It did not fall from the sky. It comes from real people with real ideas. Idea that the rest of the world calls is silly. Every startup literally a bet on a secret. Something only a small group dares to believe and dare to do. Startup therefore not must be about making money. It is the story. Regain one's character. To dare different, you can live like most people, follow the paths that have been outlined, or you can become the first person to dare set foot in a path no map yet. If you don't believe that, as for secrets, you won't go looking for them. But if you believe that this world is still, there are still many things that no one has discovered, you will start looking around with eyes other. And that is the first step of a company, of a life, of a future new hybrid. Next chapter. Party drop door. When the balloon blows up, no one felt, but when it broke, the whole valley, Silicon Valley, knows the smell. I used to live in the midst of that craze. In the late 1990s, the tech world is like a drag party. Endless, pushing alcohol, money and illusion. Product launches look like a bucket of fashion, and every promise of investment all start with 3 letters. We will be at that time. People do not ask what you are looking for, how much. They asked if it was IPO yet. Like the concept of profit is a language, ancient language. The more loss a company makes, the more is praised as investing in the future hybrid. I did not stand outside that party. I'm in it. I run PayPal. In a period of crazy belief is a generally accepted currency. We used to believe that we could create a new currency that is not dependent on government, run entirely on the internet. That goal may sound arrogant, but at least it's real. It is not a price gouging. I still remember clearly one day, I sat in the living room with someone founding another startup. He said, I prepared an IPO speech even though the company not yet established, and he said that with a serious look. As if talking about plan a weekend getaway. When the market at the top, people started dancing like the music will never stop. But the music always stops, and when it stops not everyone could find a seat. In 2000, the bubble burst. Index NAS dropped from 500 to just over 1,000. Hundreds of companies disappear, billions of dollars evaporated as if it never existed. But what leaves a lasting impression is not lost money but lessons. Post-crisis teachings have become a guideline for every startup career. Then there are 4 main dogmas drawn from that collapse. 1. Don't dream big, grow from there. 2. Don't make up plan. Be flexible. Dad, don't light up, create market, improve what already exists. 4. Don't sell. Let the product do its thing, speak. They sound reasonable and safe. Are wise, but they are also similar. As advice from someone who has just been dumped, fall, bitter and no longer believe in love story. Actually, it is not. Because startups back then dreamed big and failed. Defeat, they fail because they don't dream specifically enough. They have no foundation. And so the paradox is that the principles are reversed. Again is more correct. 1. Dream big but must have the courage to take the step. 2. Plans can be wrong but there is no the plan is suicide. 3. Competition is the trap. Go find the market that no one has touched for. Good products do not sell themselves, sales-only talent can create breakthroughs. When I remember at that time, I did not feel sorry. I found it necessary. The late 1990s is a form of collective drunkenness. Everyone looks into the future through a lens. The crystal glass was shiny but hazy. I see the smartest people push into companies with business models unclear. They use money to burn money. They use the media to exaggerate reality, and they use hope instead logic. I'm not standing outside. I also stuck in that belief. But in the middle of the party, I saw a thing. We are all dancing in a room with no exit and pay. If you want to survive, you must find a way out. Earlier than others. We have once gave new users $10 for each registration. $10 more if you invite friends sounds crazy. That's right. But that is the only way to grow. Fast user when no one knows you who costs increase exponentially. But we accept because people new use is oxygen no family. Everything all dead. We know this model not sustainable, but it gives us time, and in the startup world. Pair when time is the only thing you need to find a sustainable model. We also know the market is about to crash, and because so we act very quickly. In May 2000, an article on Wall Street Journal says PayPal could be worth $500 million. A month later, we raised $100 million. One of the investors always based their valuation on Post newspaper. A Korean company sent $5 million without signing a single paper. 1 week after that, the bubble burst. If we are slow, even if it was just a few weeks ago, PayPal could have been another name on the list of the stillborn company of 2000. But we survived, and that's not because luckily we were awake in the middle drunkenness. You can't fight the crowd by how to oppose them, you can only overcome through them by thinking differently. You must wondering if what I believe is just that reacting against the old pain, or it is true faith tested. Because if you let your past define your present now, you cannot build the future. They say you learn from failure. Defeat, but the truth is we often learn from failure. After the bubble collapsed, new generation of startup was formed like a bunch of children abandoned by their parents, scared, suspicious, cautious with everything that has a scent direction of dreams. Whoever mentions the scope look is considered illusion. Who speaks for change the world is suspected of fraud. Be realistic become the main slogan. Startup awareness, so is the person we begin to worship the opposite with old mistakes. And that is a mistake. New mistake. It is believed that just do small things. It is safer, that small steps will take you further than a big jump. But no one would look back at one thing. People who jump big and fail are because they jump wrong, not because they dream too much. Many because they dream without knowing themselves. What are you dreaming about? P's death was not because of they sell dog and cat supplies online, because they do not understand the operating model, do not control costs, not control cycle customer life. In other words, they don't have a strategy. They have a website, a cute mascot, some expensive ads read in the Super Bowl, and that's all. Chief. I have witnessed an entire industry follows the trend of making card reading apps. Mobile credit first is Square, a clever name for the product. Just then, the opponents took turns appear. This company makes image readers. Round, the other company made a semicircle, the other side makes a triangle. A life exam. Geometry disguised as name change. No one asked why read credit card like this? Not another image. Do you need a picture? Which? They do not try to find the essence. Surname just for show because of the easy form more than nature. I call it competition. Creative disguise. You see. When you compete, you don't innovate. Friend, just a little improvement on what already exists. You are sucked into a game where someone else sets the rules and you forget that the game is only meant to be meaning if you choose it from the beginning. I lived long enough in the startup ecosystem karma to realize an unacceptable truth. Receive Most entrepreneurs don't do it because they believe in something and because they don't want to lose the game. They don't against the flow, they try to swim faster than the person next to you. But in the world of ideas is not enough to swim fast. You have to swim differently. I have seen two startups just a few miles apart, row of houses. One side is the company I founded, Finity with PayPal products. The other side is Elon Musk's X.com. We compete intense. Both burned millions of dollars to attract users. And I don't mind, said, we have already. There is a technique. The engineer in my team proposed to build a logic bomb to attack the opponent's system goalkeeper. Ideas never get implemented, but it shows that competition can make people lose control. This cannot go on. And then one the day Elon and I met at a bar mid-storm. Two people are fighting to the death. Merge PayPal and X.com into one. We learned something important. Release forces to create something truly powerful than to divide and die together. Since then, I no longer believe in competition. I believe in monopoly in a positive sense. Most of this word monopoly is not suffocate the opponent but create something else so different that no one can compare. Edge painting like war, winner also loss, loser disappears. And most importantly, both lost their muscles. A chance to create something no one has ever created before. See, I know there are people who read this. This will feel uncomfortable, they will think. But if everyone goes their own way, the world will be in chaos, not vice versa. The world is only chaotic when everyone is pushing on the same road. Take a look at school. From elementary school to college. They teach you how to excel in same game. Exam scores. Degree, and then when they graduate they say you now be creative, but creative, it's not a skill, it's a choice. Choose, a difficult choice because it means with you will be laughed at, understood, mistake, isolated if you intend to start a business. Don't start by asking, I will be next to you. Compete with someone. Let's start with a question: how different would I be? Who can put me on the scale? You will. You can't build a great company by how to win over others. You will only. You can build it if you dare to be human. Do something first. No need excuse me amidst all the noise still, and those who are looking for something real. And if you're reading this, maybe you are one of them. We need people like you, are not to compete but to create, not to follow the crowd, crowded to create new world. Chapter next. All the happy companies' happiness is different. I once read a sentence in the novel Anna Karenina, and it haunts photo of me until now. All the happy families are all alike, but every unhappy family is unhappy with each other. Separately that sounds good, but I think contrary in the business world. Rather, all the companies' happiness is different, and work is different. Failed companies are all the same. They both do not can escape from competition. You see there, success in business comes from being a little better than other people. It comes from not being able to like anyone else. I know this sounds very unpleasant. We grew up in a culture that sanctifies competition. From school to sports, from exams, university to startup, everywhere says please fight, overcome, defeat competitor. But I ask you, if you are fighting in a crowded market, how can you win without winning yourself? Kill yourself. Competition turns you into one, a faded version of himself. Friend, no longer thinking about the customer, you think about the opponent. Every decision is based on what the other person does, not me what. I have seen this all the time. A decade of investing in starting a business. When a company starts talking too much about the market. Direct competitor, cheaper, faster delivery. I know they are play the wrong game. Great companies. Great does not define itself by comparison. Compare, they define themselves by their vision. Unique. You can argue. But what about Amazon? They compete fiercely. But still successful. Correct. But you have see Amazon wants to compete, or because they are being bullied, competitive pressure. Jeff Bezos said nothing. I wanted to defeat Banas and Nobel. He said, I want to be the company that takes the world's most customer-centric. This is completely different. I believe that everyone long-term successful companies all have a secret. Secret that others do not know or do not understand, that is exclusive. Not toxic government-sponsored rights that are natural monopoly through product, technology, vision, or network that people other cannot copy. When you are single right, you don't need to shout. You don't need crazy discounts. You don't need throw money at advertising like it's nothing tomorrow. You just have to do what you do. Do it and the world will come to you. I remember back to the early days of PayPal back then. All online payment companies are competing. Paintings to attract users through each because the seller on it needs to transfer money. But we don't do it their way. We are not trying to charge less. We create a smooth experience but fast, unblocked and special. In particular, we understand the culture of eBay. The vendors there are individuals. Small individual, not a business. Surname need to feel trusted and we build systems around that. Results: almost all sellers on choose to use PayPal. Although there are some solutions other cheaper because we fit, not must be cheaper. And when you take over a narrow market, you can not only survive, you dominate, but there is a strange truth: search companies often keep it a secret. The story is exclusive. Why? For whom? Also afraid of being noticed by the government. So the monopoly pretends to have competition, and competing companies pretend to be exclusive. Really? Google is a prime example. When they IPO claimed to occupy only a small part in the information search market, including newspapers, emails, websites, and media etc. to make their market share replant reality in the market online search, they have occupied more than 90% and no one can keep up. In contrast, a shop local pizza is often self-proclaimed. Introduction is completely different from everything else, the type of pizza you've ever eaten. But they still just is one of hundreds of pizza shops, meaning is nothing special. You see the paradox yet? People really don't have competition is pretending to exist, but people are struggling in competition then pretend not available. Why is that? For both everyone understands one thing: if you are recognized, be exclusive, you will be hated. But if you don't have monopoly, you will be swallowed. A true monopoly is a companies create value and capture it. Are not must be a company that only creates buzz. But how do you know if you are on the right track? I often look at 4 fundamental elements. 1. Unique technology rights. A leap in performance is not must be 10% but do it 10 times. If you are just good a little more, others will catch up with you faster than you think. But if you pass 10x better, you set the standard new, naturally you turn competition into outdated. 2. Network effects. Product. The more people use your product, the more people will use it. The more valuable it is to the next person. The classic example, Facebook, was initially just there were Harvard students, then spread to other countries, EV Liquid School and the whole US. To 1. When you are not using Facebook you are lost, excluded from society, not because Facebook is good, the most because it is everywhere. 3. Economies of scale. As you grow, your marginal cost goes to 0. Part Soft is the perfect example. You spend money, write code once, then sell it to customers, million people at almost no additional cost. What? The bigger you are, the cheaper. But cheaper is better. Swallow the market. 4. Trademark strong. A brand is not a logo, it is a promise. A company like Apple can sell phones for thousands of dollars because of people do not buy technology, they buy feelings, buy identity, buy affirmation. Close. But to put all of the above aside happens, you need one thing crucial. Something that many people overlook. You must start from a small market. Don't start by wanting to be all things to all people, everybody. That sounds big, but it is against hollow. When you say market, I am 100 million people. You are actually saying that I don't know who I will serve yet. One small but well-served market. Origin. can be your stepping stone to domination. Big market. Amazon started selling only book. Facebook starts just for students. Harvard. PayPal started just for transfers. Money for eBay sellers. We do not attempt to expand before checking control. When you try to expand too soon, you spread like foam, attractive but hollow. But if you occupy a small angle and make it irreplaceable, you have the right to extend. People are often afraid small market because they think small is less money. But the truth is the market is small. You have complete control over the market. Big school where you are unknown. I call it the path of secrets. And I believe every good startup starts from a single place. Secret. Not a conspiracy secret or a trick, but a perspective, or really, a void that the rest of the world unseen or not enough believe to act. The real secret's always hiding behind the wall of the obvious. Of course the world sees the wall, the founder saw the way. I'm not talking about good ideas. I said about the right but not popular vision. Vision takes time to be proven. Smart but strong enough for you to commit fully effort from the beginning when no one believes in you. Have I once asked a young founder, you think what will make your company not can be replaced? He was silent for a long time. And say, because we make good products more. I nodded and said, oh no, better is not enough, must be different, irreplaceable level. Even if caught first, to do that, you have to refuse to be shaped by the crowd. Do not start a business because someone told you to. Do not choose a market because it's hot. Do not according to the formula. The formula for creating stability determined, not created unicorns. And above all, don't measure success by attention. Every failed company I have ever seen have something in common. They are too concerned with mentioned. And the companies that became most of all, they are usually quiet, persistent, contained in simple rooms. With a group of people who believe in what the world, believe it or not, I have lived through 2 decades. Startup century, and I tell you the truth, this success is not noisy. It is the system, the result of inner clarity. If you know I'm different, you don't need to shout. You just have to do it right, do it enough. And when the world found out, it was too late. Late to catch up with you. Next chapter: system, competitive thinking. I grew up in a world where everyone believes in one thing: competition is good. From those in our first years of life, we are taught that competition to train character, promote progress, set, improve productivity. School organization, competition, enterprises organize campaigns. Translation: exceeds national target. Then compare GDP, compare military strength, compare Olympic medals. We grow up with the spirit of not win is lose, and even we ourselves proud of that. But there is one thing that is very few people say it: competition does not make you better, it makes you crazy. I saw it not in books but in his own flesh and blood. When you fall into a competitive war, you start defining success by other people. You look to the left, look to the right, but you forgot to look to the side in. All motivation is gone from personal belief but from the desire to defeat someone. I was a victim of the system. That idea. I used to play chess. King. I was in the top 10 in America at the age of young. Every game of chess is a battle taught as a guitar string I learned to guess. Opponents, exploit weaknesses, set traps, and most important, do not be soft-hearted. Flag. The king taught me discipline, but it also planted in me a distorted belief that I wanted to win, someone else must lose. I bring that belief in university, in school law, into Gold Street. Where everything is number game. Each law candidate has only several positions. Every investment has only one winner. Bold. Each stop has only one winner. Life. But then after a while, I realized something very strange. People the smartest I know most are use your intelligence to fight in games they didn't create. Surname: they are smart, they are hardworking, they are disciplined, but they are not creative. They don't wonder why do they have to play that game, they just want win because winning is the only reward they are taught to desire. So they push into the same company, same industry, same life model. Good people. Stanford University never dreamed of becoming an inventor. They set up, they dreamed to do. Google employees because Google means one, and me, I am easy to guide. Not because I'm smart, because I can't stand the feeling have to play a game forever, usually, no longer attractive. I'm not want to beat someone, I want to build something, and I want to ask the question, is it possible to live a life without being locked in an operating system? The action of competition. When I invest, I began to recognize a clear motif. The best founders don't care about the opponent, they do not show themselves fake news, they are calm. They don't say, I will eat your market share. They say, I'm doing something no one else is doing. On the contrary, again, people who talk too much about their partner's defense, counterattack strategy, competitive advantage paintings often just repeat what they read from Mincy report. They are the product of an education that emphasizes more than other people, not different. I call it competitive ideology. One kind of religious belief in you taught to fight for attention, fame and money by defeating other people rather than creating value new. It is not only present in the scriptures business, it permeates all social classes. Festival. You don't get to live your life your way. Want. Because other people are living like this. You don't get to choose the job you like. Because that job has little opportunity for advancement. Every decision becomes a reaction to society. Association rather than a purposeful action. You can't build a company or a lifetime. In that way, I used to say, talk with a young, full founder, energetic, cheerful voice. He opened one food ordering app and bragged to me that, we will beat all the apps different by delivering faster than 5 minutes and 10% off. I asked, then so what? He was silent. I didn't blame him because that's what the market teach, a little better, a little cheaper, a little faster and you will win-win, but the truth is that's all it takes. You won't survive long when you fight on price, next person will be fight at even lower prices. When you fight with speed, others will burn money for faster delivery. Just like that you fall into a spiral of attrition. Edge. That kind of painting does not create value. It only transfer value from company to person use until the company has nothing left to use living. Take the airline industry as an example. Passengers love to complain about airlines. Flight, cramped seats, bad food, bad service. But few people realize that airlines do not make money for decades. Gross profit of the entire U.S. airline industry, the period is almost zero. Why? Because of the edge, fierce fight, because there is no difference, because everyone offers the same thing. One airplane seats, so users select by lowest price, and so each the company had to cut costs to the bone. In contrast, look at Google. They have advertising the most expensive foxes in the world because they have no competitors. Real master in search. When you are single rights reasonably, you do not need to fight, you just need to be present. Still another example, PayPal. In the days at first, we competed with X.com of Elon Musk. Both provide services, transfer money by email, both burn money like crazy to win users. I used to stay up all night thinking of ways to make communication, our interface is half a second faster, to make users choose us instead of them. At one point, I realized we were kill yourself, not X.com is down, it is our being defeated that is the cause of our defeat. Haunted by them has made us lost direction. No one on the team spoke anymore. About customers too. It's all about the opponent. Goalkeeper. We have to stop, have to choose, continue to compete to the death or merge, and we choose the second way. 2. That's why PayPal exists today. Now. I'm not saying you should always avoid it. Away from competition. Sometimes it is impossible to avoid. But you have to actively choose your life. Play the game and don't get caught up in it. Others pose. When you spend your whole life in trying to win, you forget to ask, what am I doing? What is the point of playing? Competition is a reaction, creativity is action. Competition catches you look around, creativity makes you look inside, competition makes you similar. Other people. Creativity makes you unable to replace. And the scariest thing about edge, it's not that you will lose, it's that even if you win you won't come where. Because in the end you simply be the best version of a bunch like. And that in one the world is full of worthless copies. Trench if you find yourself living to defeat others, stop, ask what if I don't try to win but try to create something that makes others can't keep up. That's not arrogance. Pride, that is freedom. Next chapter. Profit, the position of the last person to arrive. Who comes first? Usually the one who is praised. Pioneer, always associated with the title. Pioneer, game changer, visionary, look beyond time, stories, inspirational, articles, and presentation on stage, lights bright. All honor them. But then one day you realize something strange. Very many pioneers have disappeared. They don't die loudly, they simply open it, replaced, forgotten, and sometimes forgotten, trampled by silent latecomers, more persistent, more understanding of the game. I used to believe that speed was everything. Go before others is an advantage not undeniable, but then I lived long enough to see. Going first is sometimes a curse, and the follower. If sober enough, maybe win the final victory in a lasting way. Steady and cold, let me tell you, heard a name that almost no one miss. Mississippi. In 1975, Miss created ATA 8800, the first commercial personal computer, first in the world. They don't just go before Apple but also before the concept-less computer in human mind consumption. But then not long after, man disappeared like a drizzle. I'm back into memories in the Museum of Technology. No one uses it anymore, no one mentions it anymore. To it. Meanwhile, Rosoff, a company young at that time, only providing software, for they are not pioneers. Surname, they don't create the machine, they just write the blueprint, but they survived, they clung, they waited time. And when the time is ripe, they jump to center stage. No need must be the first, they are the last together with the rest. I call that the advantage of the last to arrive. It's not flashy, it didn't get applause, but it was the real way to win long term. The first person to do everything, the teacher, market education, customer research, product design, foundation building, they carry all risks of the unknown. But until after they went on the path that had been exploited, avoid potholes, optimize step by step, they don't need an explanation. Tell the customer what the product is. Guess the goods have been taught, they just need to do well. More, even just less mistakes is enough to capture the market. I have seen this happen many times. To the point of obsession. Firster is a social network, first to go global, surname launched in 2002. There are millions of people used for several months. They are praised as revolution. They were Facebook before Facebook came, and then they died. Page slow, web, unstable product. The management team failed to keep creative fire. A few years later, Facebook appear. No social media introduction needed. What is association? They just do good and they take over the world. The first person, the first one must open the frame, but the frame may be distorted, rushed, or lacking in quality. Maths. Those who come after them do not need to think. All of them tweak, and that's why so they exist. You think Google is a company-first search engine? Previously there was AntaVista, Infosys, Ocode, Exile, and all are variable lost. Google is late, but they have one thing that no one has. PetRank ranking algorithm. Rank results in a way that reflects confidence, really trust. They don't just remake, they do differently. The difference is in the quality solution, not timing. And the most ironic thing is that the prophet styles often get stuck in the very thing they create. They have early adopters but not enough power to serve them. They have the first product. First, but that product quickly should be outdated. They left too early. Before all, when the market is ready to accept it. They were praised by the crowd and then forgotten by the crowd. Go. I have worked with many innovators. Obsessed with being the first fairy they launched when the product was not stable. Surname burning money to expand without a model sustainable. They raise capital based on assumptions that users will be loyal. In when users are just curious they jump down river before knowing how deep the river is. On the contrary, I have met people who come late. They are ridiculed as clones. Surname not called game changers but they observe, take notes, even learn from failure of predecessors. They do not steam, they don't bother to go to the newspapers, and when they do launch a product that is solid, lean, have strategy, and they win. There is a kind the startup I fear most. People they see startups as a sprint race. Rush forward, burn energy, call capital, make the product really good to appear in the newspaper, to go on air. They want to win fast, very fast. Fast, but they do not see one truth painfully obvious: starting a business is a marathon without a road. Turn off. The first mover is prone to fall into a trap. Image, the trap of self-deception. They think I am the one who holds the power to shape the market school. But actually they are scouting dark. They were pushed away by pressure. Must finish, must go on, must don't slow down, because if you slow down they will be caught. Surpass. Meanwhile, the person who comes later observe, analyze, wait for the first person they jumped in. I saw this when working with PayPal. I am not the first to create online payment method. Previously there have been companies like Pinpoint Chi, but they too soon. Clumsy product integration least. User experience like going backwards. We learn from it not to become wiser. For being patient enough not to jump into the hole like them. The seller on E did not try become a global payment solution right away. We choose a market: small school, clear needs, clear behavior, and very good job. Until the market gets bigger, open up, we're ready. Those who come after us have no chance. Squeeze in when you start a business with long-distance goals. You will not be distracted by who came first, who is famous, who can raise more capital. You only care, am I creating lasting value? Can this model be replicated? Whether will my team survive 5 years? Therefore, the advantage of the latecomer: it's not just about learning from mistakes. Others, it is also the ability to build to survive, not to impress. A young founder. Your product I hear very well. Video sharing platform for doctor. People call it YouTube for the medical industry. I asked, has anyone used it, yet? He said no, but we will call for capital for strong marketing. I nodded, in mind think to go first but no direction. When you are the latecomer, you know privilege to be ignorant, you are not allowed to guess the mine. You must astute, every step is a step of the debtor of time. But it is that makes you choose right. And if you determined enough to go all the way, you will not only survive, you will redefine that industry. Look at Apple, don't do it. First smartphone that was Nokia communicator, BR-PAM. All call themselves I am a smartphone, but Apple does not compete directly. They do something different. iPhone is more than just a phone, it is a pocket calculator, a player, music, camera, browser. All in one, and most importantly, they have a unique ecosystem. They didn't come first, they came last. And right is stronger early. As a narrator story, I understand a rule of failure literature. Attractive characters are not the ones who work hard. Into the first war that survived left behind successful entrepreneur. The most successful person is not the one mentioned first person who after 10 years you still using their products every day. Perhaps the reason I tell the chapter this in a deeper voice because I was witness too many young people burn themselves because of want to be the first to do it, something they trade both time and money. Silver, fame for a battle. They do not understand the rules of the game. They die for speed, die of pressure, die of comparison. When they could have lived longer if knowing that being late is not scary, coming right is important. Imagine yourself as the last one left in the industry. Mine all opponents were out of battery. The market is clear, customers understand. Friend. You have the brand, you have the data, you have the team you no longer have to fight, you build and you maintain. That's the kind of win. Benefits that no article praises, but that is the kind of victory that makes you calm. Watch every fever come and go. And you're still there as firm as the beginning. Next chapter. You are not a lottery ticket. Once I talked to a student at Stanford. He is smart and quick. Sen has worked for several hedge funds. Language. When I asked him what he wanted to do in life 5 years from now, he replied, I'm waiting see what opportunity comes. The answer makes I stopped for a few seconds. It sounds appropriate. Practical, even wise. But I realized that behind that waiting was a very common belief, that the future is a game of probability. He not the only one. So many people, even though they don't say it, live as if they are holding a lottery ticket in their hand. Surname: choose a major, a job, a place to live, lover by calculating the probability can hit. They look for opportunities rather than create them. They wait for the world to take shape first. Choose how to react. And they think so. Is smart. I disagree. When you living like a lottery ticket, you give up the possibility decision-making ability. You no longer place the question of what I want, what I believe, what will I build. You just wait and see what occur and try to optimize the response. I call it uncertain thinking. In an uncertain mindset, you cannot know what will happen, so you have to prepare for everything. The more you learn the better, accumulate qualifications, keep choice, choose to expand, not commit too deeply to something. That sounds wise. But it is this mindset that makes millions of people smart. Life is like waiting for a bus next. They don't drive, they just wait. Left the opposite of that is deterministic thinking. In deterministic thinking, you believe that the future can be predicted at least partially. Section and you can shape it. Friend, not asking what could happen. Friend, ask yourself what you will make happen. There is the thinking of the creators of the world. Gender. Do you think Elon Musk started SpaceX because he thinks the probability of success high? Or not. He started with faith that humans should become multi-species planet. And if no one does it, I will do it. You don't need a probability support household, you need a good reason. Some people say, but the world has too many variables, how to predict? I do not deny that. I am not against injustice. Determined, I am against taking uncertainty. Excuses for not making a decision. If you really believe that the future is completely randomly, so you invest in a company all the same, startup as well, gamble. Education is only for increasing knowledge. Productivity, and you don't need to create value, just be in the right place at the right time, thinking, which leads to tacit surrender. And that the danger is that modern society encourage you to think so. Take a look, education system. Good students are praised them not because they are creative but because they are perfect. Do the homework well, they don't need to think. Independent, just follow the pattern. From small to big, we learn to obey, tick the correct box, fill in the correct method. Judgment. When I graduated, people said, let's be creative, let's take risks, let's do something different, but they do not say how to get rid of lottery thinking. They taught us all our lives. I used to ask a student, would you like to start a business? Career? She replied, I am consider, if you meet the right person with the idea good and well invested. That answer is not wrong, but it reflects the right type of person waiting for a lottery ticket better. You need to decide if you have believed that you are a creator or just as the observer. In the investment world there are also two distinct systems of thinking. There are investors believe that the market cannot predict. They spread their money around, hopefully some of them will explode. Surname: call it risk diversification. But in reality that substance is blind hope. As for me, I'm the head, believe in certain beliefs. I just head when I really believe that company have a right secret, a clear vision, clear, and a team tough enough to go the distance long. I don't invest in the lottery. I head invest in directed will. For more than 20 years of investing and building the company, I met all kinds of founders. But there is the type that makes me most cautious. People who talk as if they are trying to keep up with the market, wait for good opportunities, low-risk gambling. It sounds like they are considering carefully, but actually the point is they don't believe in the idea itself. They have no intrinsic determination. A team with a pretty good product. An application tools to help monitor sleep quality, wearable integration. No idea bad. But when I asked why you chose do this field, they don't talk about me. People, not talking about passion, not talking about vision. They say the health industry is hot, hedge funds like it, and we have early market advantage. They look our company is like a chip on the table Rolex. And when that company fails, they not sad, just regret, like regretting the first case broken. I don't want to invest in people. Sorry, I want to invest in sad people, because only when you hurt. Meaning you have placed true belief in what you are doing, it means you are living authentically. Determined. When you do something because of probability high success, you are making decisions defined as an optimization machine. But when you do something because you believe it is true no matter how difficult, you are doing act like a future creator, though the difference lies in directed belief. Look at the companies that survived. Time. Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook. None of them succeeded. Success because of choosing the right time or grasping trend. They didn't win the lottery. They build a model image based on a particular worldview and stick with it. Google was born from the need to make a search engine anymore. They were born of a belief. Information need to be reorganized. Amazon not only want to sell books, they believe that online shopping line is the future, and they build the whole system logistics to make it happen. From the person who did that could not be human. Lottery mentality. They are the people see the way when the whole world is still are in the dark. So why so many people still choose to live like a lottery ticket? Because living is very difficult. It requires you have to give up the comfort of having many choices, must take responsibility for your own beliefs, and must accept that if you fail, it is your fault, not bad luck. People uncertainty can be blamed on the market. School, investor, team, situation, economy. The living can only determine blame yourself, and that's scary. But that's why, the zombie determined to have real power, they do not wait, they without looking back, they act, and from by that action they create a new reality. In the entrepreneurship class I taught, a student asked, if you start over, which company would you choose? What is the highest probability of success? I replied. Words, you will not choose the company, you will choose faith, and from there you will build success. Around that belief. Faith, not market analysis, is the foundation of every major company. Because the market will change, technology will change, resources, capital will change. But if you have one strongly believe something is true, even if the world doesn't agree, you will always have direction to go, and go forever. You will arrive. People live like a lottery ticket, can be lucky once, but cannot repeat success. The living determine, tell fail once, twice, 3 times, they can still do it again because they have the means inside. You are not one lottery ticket, you are the one who writes the sequence of numbers. Next chapter, chasing money. Most people say money doesn't matter. Important as passion. That is a sentence pleasant to say, a kind of background music that makes people feel like they have not earned their living. How much is not the problem, but when you start building a company, it's really construction, you will realize money is not only important, it is oxygen. No money you die, mistakes can be corrected, yes, if you fail, you can get up. But no, with cash flow, all promises become meaningless. Meaning, however, what I want to say is it's not just about making money. What I mean is that money is not allocated. Even. And if you don't understand the actual structure of it, you will always play a game that you do not know the law. This is what I learned from the past investment process in a portfolio including 100 startups. One company single usually generates more than half of the total profit. Listen again, a company in 100 create more than 50% of the value. If you are a fair person, you will feel it wrong. You won't believe that the results are shared equally. Hardworking people, you think if everyone makes an effort and contributes, then the result will be better. The bonus will be divided fairly. But the world doesn't work that way. The world operates in a form of division. The equation is called the power law. Law this says that in many systems some small amounts of elements create large results. Fruit. The richest 1% of people own more than 40% of the wealth. World. A few singers took up the entire board. Music rankings. Some videos take up out of views on YouTube. Some work the company occupies the entire market share of the industry. You may find it unfair, or you can choose to understand it and play by its rules. I choose the second way. When I first invested in Facebook in 2004, it is not a giant yet, it also small, young, but I see in it a special element. Separate network development according to depth, not just breadth. Users. Facebook doesn't just log in, they stick around, they live in it. I invested 500,000 items after that. That amount is worth hundreds of dollars. Million. If I don't understand the power law, I could have divided that money equally into 50 company. And never had a blast. So. And here's what you need to understand. Exponentiation doesn't just happen in investing, it happens in the company you build. One feature can create 80% of the value, one customer can bring in 70% of the revenue. Collect. One person can shape the whole ministry of culture, but if you have the mindset linear, believing that everything must be balance, evenness, equal division of responsibility, you will miss out on powerful things so strong. I'm not saying you should labor. I say you need to accept the world imbalance to take advantage of it instead of trying to flatten it. The problem is most entrepreneurs don't think exponentially, they think in terms of increasing 10% every month is good. They make copies forecasting, based on the belief that everything's steady growth but slow start. Real karma. If success never comes now stable, it explodes, mutates, flies linear, and you have to design the company. I give that. A common mistake of the founders is that they try to do everything. They want their products to be both beautiful and affordable. Fast, cheap, flexible, and safe. Whole, loved by everyone. People. They think that if they are good enough, they can satisfy everything at once at the time. But in reality, politics is not uniformity produces superior results. Imagine you are building a software company. If you try to divide resources equally for all the features, you will have a product. Average product, no highlight, turn on. But if you put 80% of your effort into features that 10% of users love most and are willing to pay for it, you have the chance to make something groundbreaking. Mostly companies fail not because they lack of ability, they fail because they don't dare to choose, they dare not abandon what is ineffective. Fruit. Do not dare to fire poor staff, dare not refuse unsuitable customers suitable, do not dare to abandon the secondary market. They try keep it all, and that's why they don't keep it. Get nothing. I once saw a job the company spends millions of dollars to optimize user interface while the only thing that makes users leave is speed. Slow talent. They focus on the easy part. Look good, presentable good in investment slides instead of the real thing. Influence on the results. They invest in surface instead of core, and this is where understanding the power law will save you. It requires you to be extremely disciplined in choosing the right place to bet. Let's imagine you have a group of 5 people. Founded with a fair mindset. You will divide the shares equally. Each person gets 20%. Sounds reasonable reason, but if one of them is product creator, investment attraction, builder culture, while others only support, the division is still reasonable. In short term yes, long term no, because there is only one person who is creating the majority value. And if you don't see that there, you will swallow the consequences. When people most important to leave because of not being treated, be proportionate. I do not encourage unjust. I recommend allocating according to real power, not formula. Start business is not a place to please everyone. It is a place to put all force for what has the greatest impact. That is the reason I always ask founders in what you are doing. What if success will do all the rest becomes unimportant if you unable to answer you do not understand the company mind. A good founder is someone who knows how to compress values into a single point one feature, one distribution channel, one type of customer and excel at it to the point where the rest happens automatically. There is exponential thinking. But there is one side other of this law that you need to prepare spirit. It will not make you easy bear. You will invest in 10 projects, only one if you succeed, you will hire 10 people. Just one excellent person, you will try 10 campaign, just one that brings in revenue collect. And when that happens, you need to discipline yourself. The law to dare to kill the ineffective fruit. Most people don't dare to do that. They continue to pour money into products that don't work. Profitability and employee retention are still good. Try to pull long marketing campaign has no time. They don't want to admit they're wrong. Surname don't want to stop halfway, they want prove that everything has value. But the value of the ordinary is not worth the power of excellence. When I invest, I am not looking for meaning good idea, I look for ideas that can win big. Not triple, but 300. Not stability but breakthrough. And to do that, I have to dare to let go 99% of the stuff sounds good. World doesn't pay you for doing a lot of work, it pay you for doing the right thing. A work the number of people living according to the linear law will increase. Growth like the revenue chart in Sly Pissed Straight Music. A living company by power law, if successful will create a break curve and at the top of it is something that no one can copy. Let's live for it, don't chase coins money. Build something that the money will take care of. According to next chapter. Secret. 1. Good founders don't start with market. They started with a secret. The secret as I understand it is the truth no one has discovered or no one dares to believe. It can be as small as a change in user behavior that no one has noticed. It could be as big as a new operating model overthrow the industry, but most importantly it must be real. If you believe in nothing really, you will lose your way. If you don't believe in anything, you will not never create anything worthwhile. I did live through two extremes. Tai Chi 2. First, too much trust in secrets. You dream, you imagine, you think you have great insight, but you are really just saying what everyone already knows. You think you are different, but you are digress. The second extreme is more common. No longer believe in secrets, everything is available seems to have been discovered. Every industry has it. Ruler, every problem person who is solving. Where do you think you are? Steve invented the internet, not Steve Jobs, not Elon Musk. How can he come up with something new and then you stop find more? But I believe the world is still full secret, only it's not on ground. In the old days, secrets were easy to see. Go home west you find America, wait down to the ground you find gold, shoot arrows fire. You see the moon, but today the secret is buried deeper. It is not revealed surface, it has no map. It requires you must think differently and more importantly. It asks you to believe that the secret still exists in. Imagine you are a child. You are curious, you ask, you break toys to see what's inside, but grow up you get up, don't ask too many questions, don't do anything. Please follow the instructions. So you start head thinks like the rest. You are no longer ask why this is so. You just ask how to make it better. Question 2 makes you good. First question makes you creative. I'm not telling you have to invent something that instead change history. I just want you to dare to believe that the unknown is real. I remember a young founder once presented idea of a market analytics platform real estate market. When I asked for the secret, what is yours, he replied, this school is very big and no one has done it yet. Good. The answer is no secret, that is observation, the real secret that others ignore it even though it is right in front of their eyes. When I invested in Facebook, I didn't convinced by social networks for students pill. I am convinced of one thing, social relationships if digitized properly will become a network system more powerful than any media which ever existed. It's a secret. Because at that time no one thought so. There is a quiet but dangerous changes are takes place in modern culture. We is replacing exploratory thinking with analytic thinking. Innovative thinking people are taught how to optimize, improve, grow. But few people are taught how to seek the unknown. No. Look at college. Born students write essays to get good grades. Not to ask new questions. Professor research to be published in journals. Not to find out the truth yet ever known. Business development products to capture market share, not must to change the way people live. Private secretive thinking is gradually replaced by secure thinking. Whole. And when a society loses its ability asking the original question is easy, it also loses its power. Real innovation. That is why even though we have more technology ever, many fields are still at a standstill. On-site, education, health, construction, transportation through, all are stalled because of people no longer believe that there is any great secret left remaining in those areas. And you cannot discover what you do not believe in is real. Compare with the world startup. Good startups. It all starts with a simple, easy secret. Overlooked but extremely important album starts with a strange secret. Human willing to sleep at strangers' houses, as long as they feel safe and well regarded. Before everyone thought only hotels were new. Is a reasonable choice. The album's concept was ridiculed, rejected, underestimated, but it is right and so it wins. Tesla starts with a contradictory secret. Tram not necessarily ugly, slow and boring. Elon Musk believes that if you design a beautiful, fast, powerful car and run on electricity, people will buy. Time that major electric car companies do not believe that. But he was right, they were wrong. All real innovation begins with belief. Into a forgotten truth. The question is, how do you find the secret answer? Not thinking but observing. Question: living with a degree of discomfort, certain intelligence. You do not accept things are as they are. You ask, why is it like that? So you don't run after people. You look in a place where no one will notice. You don't try better in the current game. Friend looking to create new games. Common secret: not in a grand place, it is in a simple place. Tune in a strange shopping habit, in an outdated process that everyone tacit acceptance, in a moment of silence where everyone says enough is enough. Secret: honey doesn't scream, it whispers. And you only hear if you are quiet enough long. Don't confuse secret with idea. Good. Many people have good ideas, but the that idea is something that anyone can think of. The real secret is what you believe, but the rest of the world is not ready believe. It's lonely, and that's why very few the one who pursues it to the end. What is right, but very few people agree with you. If it's okay if you don't have an answer. But you have to go find it, because that's why only for you to start, for you to spend 10-20 years of my life for a problem topic, because if you don't have any secrets to if you explore, you will just be a duplicate of the old world, and the old world enough already. Build something that others don't. Unimaginable. Let's start with a question that no one dared to ask. Live as if secrets were still everywhere. Just wait, you step forward. Next chapter. Background block. If I could only say one word advice for anyone thinking about starting a business, that would be choose co-founder as if you were choosing a life partner. Listen, it sounds exaggerated, but I won't tell. Fun. You can resolve disagreements with an investor. You can rehire human resources. You can change the market, product adjustments, even pivots company. But if you choose the wrong person, co-founder, you have planted a seed bomb in the business team. I have seen it happen more than once. Dozens of times. The founders met together in Hayton weekend, excited, compatible together, write some code and make a difference company, then divide the shares equally. 50-50-33. Sounds fair. But a few months after one person stops, the other continues. And thus the disaster began. Friend, it is not easy to remove a fellow founded from the fish table without paying expensive not only legally but also spirit, about trust, about culture. You think the company is a client organization. Objective, but it is actually shaped by initial emotional decisions. I remember when I founded PayPal. We have a lot of disagreements, but there is one thing that holds us back: each other. We share the same definition direction, and no one sat at the table just because this idea sounds delicious. I entered the game as committed people, not like those who try their luck. That makes a difference. This is the thing what I often call primary culture. Culture is not a slogan on the wall. It is not "here we I respect creativity" or "each person all have a say." It is not the job "do you let your employees wear shorts or not?" Remote work culture is who you hire, who you chase, who you praise, who you give power decision. And all that usually shaped from the year of the character. The first, you can't hire people lazy then hope the company will be diligent. Friend, cannot recruit good people then hope the product will be excellent. You can't recruiting people who don't believe in the mission hope they will fight with you through the year month. Any mistakes in the early stages, you will pay 10 times more later. You can fix the core, fix the interface, but you can hardly but to fix human psychology. Many people think just do it first then fix it. That's true in product design. But wrong. In organizational design. Nest function like a living thing. Friend, can't just randomly implant genes into it hope it grows healthy. Look any great company. You will found they have a great group of founders extremely compatible in vision, extremely different, exceptional in skill, and extremely confident in what he does they are doing. It's the impossible trio. Lack. When you listen from the foundation, you often think of product structure, infrastructure, technical layer, business model. But for me, the foundation is decisions. Initially ethical and strategic that you cannot completely undo, and no decision is both sensitive and difficult. Risk by shares. Many bright houses young people in a frenzy, divided shares too early, too even, too emotional. We start together so each person has their own equal share for fairness. Fair may be wise not necessarily because of some months after one person withdrew, a person who stops or a person who works much less, you cannot change the steel. Make small talk gently. It was on paper, it was legal. Has become a realm of power. You may not see anything the first month, but by the second round of funding, or when there is an offer to buy back, or when the company has conflict, those veins will show. And then you can't solve it by goodwill, you only have law. I'm not you say you have to be selfish, I say you have to conscious. The co-founder is the person you will argue, disagree, make decisions, determination, loss-taking, pressure-taking and survival together for 510 years. If you don't choose right or dare not clarify boundaries from the beginning, you are not building a company, you are digging yourself, and that self usually explodes when you least expect it. Let's set out simple question: if you are forced to go doing this project alone, who would you invite? Do together? Not a funny person, not a person who easily compromises, but is the person you trust will not give up in the middle some. That is the first platform. Foundation second, market. Many people say do it for passion, true. But if your passion lies in one market with no demand, or the market is too small, or the market you unlikely to gain a clear advantage, then that passion will die of hunger. Remember, the market can teach you, react to it, help you adjust, but it doesn't forgive the initial mistake too big. Let's choose a market you understand deeply, not must be a hot market. Not the market billion-dollar market that you have a corner on. Look different, a secret no one has told. Waterfall. We start pay by serving just a small group of people, the seller. The goods on this group are not large, but the demand is high. The need is clear, the behavior is definite, and no one else serves them properly. From there we expand, not backwards again. People often call it strategy. Niche market. I don't like the word niche, I call it a controlled move. Control a winning strategy to accumulate. Remember startup? need to prove that you can do a lot rank. You just have to prove that you do. One thing is absolutely true, that is the foundation too, the final platform. And also the most difficult thing to see is faith. A company, a startup is not an idea. It is a long-term commitment with a corner look at the world. If you are not really believe that you are doing the right thing, not just effective and true to nature, you will be shaky. I'm not saying that you cannot be changed. I said you just should pivot while initial confidence is still their original, just wrong implementation. But if even without faith, you are build castles in the clouds, big companies not only do they survive the test of time, they be consistent over time change. They are inconsistent in character. Ability, inconsistent in design, that consistent in reason for existence. When you have a properly built foundation, people good will find you, investors will be patient with you, customers will get something more real than advertising. But if you build it wrong, everything you add, no matter how beautiful it is after that, it is just makeup for a tumor. Once you start right. Please place brick by brick as if you couldn't come back and rebuild again, because you really cannot. The next chapter, the mechanism of mafia. Once I was invited to attend a presentation on corporate culture industry in Silicon Valley. The person who presented is a young CEO. Dress smartly, have enough slides for presentation, colors, charts, staff images, smiling brightly in the open office. He talked about believing in diversity. Rules: 360-degree feedback. Friday, no meeting. Every employee is a leader. The whole room nodded and applauded. I do not clap hand because I know what will happen next there. A year later, his company died. Not because of lack of money but because of team disbandment. Wild talented people leave, those who stay are not. Trust each other. Cultural values only exists on PowerPoint. I have seen this repeated, not knowing how many times people think that literature industrialization is something that can be built after the company grown up, when there is a human resources department, when called capitalized, when everything is in place. But I tell you the truth, if you don't have culture, you never had it in the first place. Culture is not what is attached. Enter. It is something that gets into the blood from the very beginning. First in PayPal. We do not use from many cultures, but we live with it every day, every decision. My founding is not perfect. I argued heatedly. We have times dislike each other, but we believe in same thing, and that creates something that I only had a name for it later. Mafia. It sounds negative, but get it right. Mafia in the startup context is a community loyal little fellow, has his own rules, more than money, stronger than any contract copper. We don't need application rules. We have a commitment to survival. I don't need a high salary. We have feeling of being in the same boat. I don't need a retention policy. I don't want to leave. That's the kind of ending you can't buy it, you can only build. But how to build? First of all, you hire people for more than just skills. Hire people who believe in what you do. Skills can be trained, beliefs cannot. Are not. A good person but not trustworthy will withdraw when the company is in trouble. One person moderate but believe will fight when public almost dead, and sometimes the second person is the person who keeps the company. We are recruiting people not based on resume but based on conversation. I often ask, if not been paid for 6 months, you still want to do this? If people that's it, I know they're not the person I need. Second, you give them real ownership. At PayPal we issue shares to all employees, no just stock option, but the feeling is the same. When you own a part of the company, you behave differently, you do differently, you think differently, you don't wait for orders, you act. Third, you build a belief. Almost crazy belief that we are do something bigger than yourself. All mafia all have faith in startups. That creed, not that we will earn a lot money, that we are changing a part of the world and no one but us can do it. That belief may sound arrogant. And yes, if you don't have a little pride, arrogant, you cannot do great things. If you don't believe you are special, you will dare not do what no one has done. Recruitment right person is not enough, you must dare to leave the wrong person. This is what many founders think. Dare not do they turn a blind eye. Not so bad people, also hardworking, no, they are afraid of breaking the harmony, they are afraid create tension, they thought it was for sure. Will improve, but the truth is people nonconformity will not correct itself. Surname cultural dilution, and that dilution is quality sweet poison. No one sees it right away but everyone is infected. Strong culture is not culture people happy. Strong culture is a place where anyone who does not fit in will feel uncomfortable and leave. I once witnessed an engineer excellent was fired not because of him poor, because he does not share the vision product. He considers users stupid. Stupid, he writes, essentially as if the user must learn to understand it. He is good but wrong team. Keeping him is easy. But keeping him is a betrayal of our culture. Company. And if you betray it once, you will betray a second time. Remember, the text chemistry is not what you write, it is what you forgive. If you forgive the lazy, your company becomes a place. Lazy is okay. If you forgive the doubt, your company will be flooded incredulous. If you forgive people, if you don't believe in what you're doing, you've diffused yourself a living mafia with honors. And in a startup, reputation, the prediction lies in the consistency between words and act. Many people ask me, so what need to build a professional corporate culture career from the start? I laughed, need for professional, you need real. Every great startup I've ever been a part of know it all started like a cult. Not because they are extremists but because they believe into what others do not believe, and believe to the point of daring to act, daring to refuse, daring to go on without anyone's support. That is energy you can't fake. Early Facebook only recruited people through personal introduction, no process, human resources, no diversity standards. Surname, choose the believer, the one who is willing to live and die with vision. From there they create an ecosystem. Attitude is not just a product but a system of thinking. Imagine we at PayPal do the same. Have people say, what kind of company is this, full of idiots, weird guy, different from everyone else. But residents act like brothers. I say that is not incidentally, it's by design. We want build a group of people that later on, even though the company's success or failure, we are still ready to work together again. And the reality has been proved after PayPal, a lot of people, the founding team, continued to create other large companies. YouTube, LinkedIn, Palin, Teaser, Specs, why? Every people call it the PayPal Mafia. But that Mafia news is not for us better because we lived authentically in the days when there was nothing. And when once you live like that, you will realize who is real. Friend who can rebuild an empire mechanism. Remember, culture is not something you attach when you grow up. It is the core. And if that core is strong enough, you can not only build a company, you build a community, a network, an ecosystem that cannot be destroyed. You build a mafia, no need hidden. A mafia believes in the same thing and willing to live and die for it. Next chapter. If you create a products, customers will come. I used to sitting at the conference table listening to a young engineer, which I appreciate very much. Talk about the product he is building it is really good. Older brother, he said, almost trembling with pride. Deliver smooth interface, fast speed, clear functions. Obviously, no competitor did as well as so. I nodded, you're right, I try it out. And indeed every detail is delicate. His team spent a year wild line to grind each line. Even the submit button icon is also considered. Color according to visual scale. Then I ask, who is using it? He hesitated. Not much right now, but once people know about it, it will spread. Hurry up because it's good. I sighed. Not because I was disappointed, but because I was heard that sentence too much. The truth is there are millions of products in the world. Good products, and most of them die not because it's bad but because no one know it exists. The problem is not in quality, lies in naive belief that quality will spread. It are not. We live in a world too good people were thrown into the merchandise hundreds of pieces of information every day. No one has time to rummage through what you do subtle no they will only see it if you force them to see. And that's when you get it. Products that do not go by themselves. You must how to push it out by division match and distribution is not a subsequence. It does not come later. It cannot treat it like the shy younger brother product development distribution is half the rest of the company. If the product is the lungs distribute blood. Bloodless. Lungs do not keep you alive. At PayPal we have made that mistake. I think we have the best technology, simple interface, easy to use, faster all other systems. So the user will automatically come on, no one is coming we have a perfect ship but anchored in the middle of the desert and then we realized or we find ways to make people pay attention or die. So we do something no one on the engineering team ever did want. Pay to buy users. Listen, it looks rough, it looks like marketing. But thanks to the campaign, each person sign up and get $10. Invite friends another $10 we get speed first growth not because of the product bad product but because we finally accept that to survive you must learn how to sell many engineers hate the word sales. Row. They think it's dirty, noisy, and lacking in gray matter they want to live in the world where natural value is recognized. But the world doesn't work like that it do not reward goodness in silence quiet. It rewards the right appearance right time, right way, right person I used to sat with a young founder who had just raised $500,000 products of he is a work organizer for small groups. I asked for distribution strategy. What is your partner he replied, I will go to pro.hun. Hope to be swept much. I nodded without saying anything. I know. Hope that will be gone within 3 days. If your distribution strategy depends go in, hope you lost from the start. Because distribution is not really based on luck, it depends on the system. The question is not is the product good? The question is who will use it first. They heard about it from where? Why do they care? They will tell for whom. Why did the other person believe? If you don't have a clear answer for that chain, you are walking in the fog. Imagine you build a restaurant. In the middle of the forest, good kitchen, good chef, table clean chair but no way to get there, no signs, no lights morning, no one knows where you are. You don't need any additional recipes, you need map and lamppost and a person stands from the edge of the forest shouted, there's something here, you must try let me tell you a story paradox in 2008, Roblox was released. Life a simple file sync tool, neat, almost invisible do not have massive media campaign, no super expensive advertising, no newspaper, no hire her they do only one thing, integration. Distribution into the product itself. Each when you share Dropbox with others, both you and the other person get extra space free storage sounds simple right? But that is autonomous distribution. Onion. The product is both a tool and an end. Messenger robots do not advertise, are spreads and they don't randomly find it out that they designed it from the ground up. That is the lesson I want others to remember. Good distribution is something that is embedded in the DNA. Product without installing later. But depending on the product, the distribution structure must be different. If you are building an application consumption, you need horizontal transmission. Users share with users like WhatsApp, like TikTok. There, each a new user is not just a guest. Goods but also a distribution channel. Still if you sell to businesses, you need vertical distribution you can't wait spread, you have to negotiate, type door, convince each person and friend need to convince not the engineer but the contractor that is why the company's successful B2B companies always have sales teams. Strong as steel sales are free extra fee, it is the backbone. I once asked the CEO of SAS company, who is the main sales in the company. He said, I rented an office. Salas. I looked him straight in the eye, said, wrong, the main salesperson should be he, a founder cannot escape from the distribution role. You can rent engineer, you can hire a lawyer, but you can't hire someone to convey your beliefs. Truly believe in yourself. Fertilizer. The distribution is where you tell the world. This is what I believe and I want you to believe too. If you can't do that, you should not do startup. Look at those most successful company. Amazon distribution distributed by the largest logistics system world. Facebook distributes by itself users and personalization algorithms. Palantir distributed by projects. Deep cooperation with governments and corporations. Big. Each company. A type of distribution, but the common point is that it is thought of from first day. You can't build a product then ask how to sell this. You have to build the product so it can be sold. Sell. Meaning who pays for this? How did they know about it? Who do they tell? Is there any reason for them to turn around? Again. Does anyone else benefit from this product? Spread the word if you don't have the answer for the above questions. Stop and think again, or you are building something no one found. Distribution is not about opening the speaker big, distribution is road building. It can silent, maybe not sexy, but if you do it right, it becomes thrust not can be stopped. I once met a startup with great technology. Using the machine learning to optimize delivery schedules. Row. Top engineering team, stable products, but they failed. Why? For the guests, the goods they target, logistics companies don't know who they are, they don't have a team. Sales, no industry connections, no the word spread and no one bought what they do not see. Meanwhile, a company other technology is inferior, but CEO used to is an operations manager in a corporation. Delivery, he has connections, he has people. Believe, someone hears, and so he did. When sometimes you don't need the product perfect, you just need the first person to believe and you have to be the one to sell it. It's not what you say, it's what you believe. So deep that others cannot help but listen. Startups don't die because they don't have technology, they die because of technology no one knows. Avoid that death. Don't live as if the world will come to you. Friend. Live as if you were the only one as possible to bring that product to light. Bright. Because you are that person. Chapter 12. Man and Machine. I used to have a friend, engineer in the Valley. Silicon is very good, very principled, and has an unshakable belief. Machine, the hook will replace all. He said that it's like reading a single line of text. Simple, unemotional, no nostalgia. Doubt. He believes that once artificial intelligence create beyond a certain threshold, we people will no longer be the center of anything, any other system. I don't laugh because I know he is not joking. Faith. There you can see it creeping all over place. You walk into a public conference. Technology, people talk about automation as the greatest promise. Robots will work better. The algorithm will make the decision more precisely. Artificial intelligence will design music writing, diagnosis, trading, finance. People no longer say yes. Body. When did they say? Once I listen. An investor said frankly. We do not invest in any model, it depends on human factors. Listen again. Okay, humans are considered as unstable variables in the system. And I began to wonder, if so, where are we going? Let's look around and you will see two Taikais, one side of the machine worshippers. Surname believe that the fewer people in the system the more perfect the system is. They see themselves automation as the only solution. They dream about a world where every process is dark, every decision is a probability, every emotions are all labeled data. Beside the rest of the people are afraid, they see the work technology as a foreign, threatening force job. Steal the opportunity, kill the professions that once fed the community copper. They see AI as Franken, as Skyet. The problem is that both sides are wrong because both sides are extreme. In fact, the part most of the most successful systems are located between. They are not air conditioners. Strange, also not just stage for humans, they are the marriage between technique and emotion, between logic and intuition. Take an example. Simple. Google search a right machine or not? An algorithm. But you know what makes Google Google? Human behavior. All results are ranked. Ranking is not only based on technique but also on how users respond. You click, where do you stop, for how long you spin looking for another one. All is well put into the algorithm. Google alternative users. Google users. It's a model I call the expanding machine. Human, and that is the only way to technology, is no longer a stranger. Have a startup I once met, they do the part. Recruitment support software. The idea is to use artificial intelligence to scan profiles, rank candidates and eventually replace the person interview. I asked, so what data is there? Prove that your algorithm choose better candidates than humans. No. They say not yet, but it is the most restaurant. At that moment I understood they wouldn't go away, and sure enough, a year later they die. The problem is not the technology. Poor in that they try to eliminate people instead of empowering people. Every home. Good recruiters know there are things. Not in the CV, not in the score numbers, not in language. That's the way someone walks into the room, the way they sit, the way they listen, the way they hesitate at the right time or laugh in the wrong place. Machine not found. Get those things or see them, not understand. And here's what I learned after many years: automation is not target. The goal is to accelerate the good without losing the human thing. Look into PayPal. At that time there were many companies trying to build an automatic payment system, but again creating a cold, impersonal experience, vulnerable while they keep the human element in these. The most important touch point: we have automatic fraud detection system, but always let people decide last. We send confirmation email. But write them as someone who writes for a person, not a machine sent to a crowd. We don't want people. I find this technology to be great. We want them to see. This is what helps. I feel safe, and I feel safe cannot be programmed. It must be give. The biggest problem for companies: technology is not lacking today. Technology that forgets for whom they do it. That technology in the best systems that I have ever seen. There is always a boundary, implicit but explicit. The machine takes care of the stability. Special section person. Imagine you go to Uber driver location algorithm, charging, route optimization. But things why you give 5 stars is the driver asks, do you want to open the window, tell you a funny story or a silent one. Sometimes, small details but cannot be ignored. Replace with command line or look at a bruise. They have a whole system of verification, scoring, feedback. But the reason you came back remains the same. Is the experience with the host, the feeling of staying a real place, not a hotel anonymous. Those things do not come naturally. Yes, it needs intentional design. One often asks me, so should we be afraid of artificial intelligence? Create? I said afraid is the wrong question. The correct sentence is we will use it to do what? If you use it to replace the people, you will confront politicians, your goods. If you use it to deepen what humans already do well, you will be with them. And that is it. The only way for technology to become people. I believe that the future is not at any extreme. Not all people, not machines, but systems where humans and machines empower for each other. Machines learn from data, humans people learn from paradox. Machines are good at repetition again, good people break, good machines do. When clear question the person who shines, when fishing question no one has ever asked. And so when you build a company, ask questions: part should leave the machine? Which part must be people? If you don't have an answer, yes, maybe you don't really understand what you're doing. Build, let technology elevate humanity, not replace them. Because the world does not need more machines, it takes a lot of people dare to use technology to live like real. Chapter 13. Green business trends. There was a time when I couldn't go into any pitching in the Valley Silicon that no one has heard of sustainability. Every startup has one. Green slide. Every founder says, we are creating a sustainable world, more stable. Every product is eco-friendly with the environment. Each model reduces gas carbon emissions. Every follow-up email has the quote from Algo. Sounds great, very noble, very trendy, and for the most part of which did not survive the year Monday. That's the paradox I mean. In this chapter, you can be very moral and still failed completely. You can have great mission, but if the business model, if you are not stable, you will not be able to live to fulfill your dreams. To that mission. People like to talk that they want to do well and get rich together at the time. I don't object, I just want to ask, do you have any plans to make both? Does that happen? Or you just hoping? Let me tell you about a startup once called the Tesla of organic food. It is a delivery company. Organic food delivered to your home, guaranteed not to be adulterated. Plastic bags, no internal combustion engine vehicles, no fossil fuel use. Any stage they are praised, in the newspapers, praised, even by the social impact investment funds inject capital, and then they went bankrupt, quietly, without resistance, no trumpet. Why? Because of logistics costs. Their team tripled their opponents. Because of them try to be both good for the land and free shipping move, because they do everything right except finance main. And here's what you need to understand. Startups are not rewarded for good intentions. Startups survive thanks to their operating systems. Effective. I know this sounds harsh, but I write not to make it easy for you. Bear. I write to give you a real chance. Change the world without dying of suicide. Respect. Let's look back at the nature of the startup. Career entrepreneurship is about creating value. New value is not necessarily something good for the planet. Value is the new thing. Solve a real problem, better compared to the current way. If you do, by doing so, you can help the planet. In the most sustainable way, by living, survive, develop, expand, and attract people who are not like you in the same model. But if you start with we want to save the world and there is no how to bring products to ordinary people, usually at an acceptable price. Friend, building a beautiful church in the middle of the desert. No one comes, no one knows, no one change, and you will collapse thirsty amidst his own moral delusions. Let me say this straight. Frank, every environmental mission is priceless. Meaning, if your company doesn't survive long to complete it, imagine you are a person with good intentions. You want make plastic alternatives, you have a degree, PhD, passionate about prototyping. You create company, fundraising, first batch production, and then you realize the cost is triple regular plastic times. Customers say great, but too expensive. You lower the price at a loss. You ask for sponsorship, it takes time. You hope the government will pass supporting laws. Surname, if you don't do it, you run out of money, you die. What to get from that death? No one. Apart from some articles praise the spirit of you are like a romantic monument. But this planet does not need more monuments, it requires systems that can change behavior. Human on a large scale. And to do that, you have to think like a technician. A master, a distributor, a real person, a man, not a poet. Look, Tesla. They don't start with cheap cars. They start with expensive cars to have a profit margin. Profit, to survive. Then from that profit, they build factories, expand, reduce costs, and step by step they make clean products. Popular. Not because of morality but because of it more delicious. That is real victory. When people who do not care about emissions still choose electric car because it is more powerful, cheaper, more convenient, you want to change behavior, don't preach, please redesign the selection. Select. I once met a startup that made things. Recycled building materials. They don't say more about saving the planet, they just say cheap, more than 17%, 23% lighter, better strength than traditional concrete. As a result, they signed contracts with 2 affordable housing chain, no need to perform theory, no need to post appeal, just need their products to fit reality. That is the spirit you need to bring when want to do green business. Don't try to change the world by educating the world. Gender. Change by understanding. Deep look at the current system in operation. How and put yourself in the right spot. Key: you don't need to be more moral. Other people. You need to be better at ethics. Virtue and efficiency meet. Remember this. Startups don't have duty to become a social movement festival. Startups have an obligation to create sustainable value and survive to maintain that value. Want to do the right thing? Great. But doing the right thing is profitable. Things will spread. Let's start with a problem. Specific topic. No need to use flowery words, no need to promise to transform the world, just need to solve a specific problem for a specific groups in a way that is both ethical and feasible. From there you will have money. From money, you will have leverage. From the leverage, you can change the system, and when you do with that, you no longer have to tell me is a green business. Others will say that for you, and that's when you know I'm doing it. Next chapter: Founder Paradox. I met many startup founders. Smart, yes. Talented, yes. Decisive, resourceful, sweet talk, but the person who I respect, the person who talks less and more the most. Pensive and aloof because he carries a paradox in itself. Just arrogant enough to believe you can change the world, just humble enough to know that you can be wrong at everything step, and it's not easy to live with two things at the same time. You may be a dreamer or pragmatist. You can be inspirational person or controller, detailed control. You can be a leader, create a vision, or engineer each line core, but when you are a founder, you must be all. And you have to learn to live with the contradiction. That conflict every day. Imagine. Friend, tell the world what you create will change the behavior of millions of people. You raise capital based on the prospectus. Seems that even you sometimes see, can't believe it's true. You are hiring better than you, then have to be their boss. You are praised as a genius by the press. Crushed when a small feature fails. And throughout the process you have to keep trust. Just doubt yourself. That is paradox number 1. Paradox number 2: you have to build a culture around yourself. His unformed person hears dreams lake. Let me be clear, every company has its own, bearing the mark of its founder. But you are an incomplete being when you start out. Good, you are full of ideals but lack self-control. Test, you are passionate but lacking collide. You are both a source of energy, is the weakness of your own system create. And the hardest thing is you cannot hide anywhere. Every decision you make, I will come back to find you. All pink holes the way you are will show up in culture. Company. Every panic attack you hide will leak into every meeting. Stop without multiplying version, it amplifies you. And if you don't understand yourself, you will not understand anything I am building. I have seen companies die. Not because of wrong model, but because of people. Founders are driven by fear or ego. Or unprocessed emotions, bringing down the whole thing system. People often think startup die of lack of capital, lack of market, but the deeper truth is that many startups died because the founder could not bear it alone, can't stand loneliness, no bear the feeling of being doubted. Are not bear to say I don't know, can't stand being an icon statue. While inside is still panic chaos, I know that feeling. I used to sitting alone at night without company, about to die because I'm not sure I'm still alive, want to live the life the company requires again. And that is the greatest paradox of a founder. You create a machine that someday it may swallow you. I once asked a veteran founder, what moment made you want to give up the most? Grandfather, we are not talking about when the company is about to go bankrupt, also not talking about the time being media smear. He just said that when I realized he had created something that was, I don't even recognize it anymore. Grandfather, I said it very lightly, without anger, no tragedy, just a cold truth, the search of a person who gradually sacrifices himself body for a dream, then one day woke up and didn't see myself in that dream again. And that brings me to the final truth. Together. Entrepreneurship is not just about creating jobs. It is a personal test extreme, a lab where you crash, touch yourself in a state of nothingness, have shelter. Every failure is a lesson, test of faith, every success is a test of ego. Founder: they don't die because of mistakes, they die because of refusal. Emotions come with being wrong. They collapse because of pressure, they collapse because of loneliness. Nameable: you can call capital goods $1 million, magazine cover, contract signing with a large corporation and still feel empty when going to bed. You can laugh in the meeting and then wonder if I will are fooling themselves not to build one correct company. You must know who you are when there is nothing, when the product is not yet available out, when no one believes you, when you wake up and there is only one thing that makes you can stand up: the belief that even though no one understands, what you do is still right. But to live with that belief, you have to make peace with yourself. You have to learn way without needing other people's consent. Learn how to look at bad numbers without fear. Learn to apologize to your team when you are wrong, without losing leadership. Learn not to turn the company into a place to heal personal inferiority, and if you can do that there, strange things happen. The company started best version of the reflective head friend. Not the perfect version but honest version, brave enough to not playing anyone, and when you live that way, the good ones will come. Are not because you have a lot of money but because they want to be work in an environment where the really valuable they will believe you because you did. Learn to trust yourself without being swallowed by ego, and that is the paradox. The founders last: you have to grow up, be better than yourself without losing yourself. Me. You have to lead others but don't let them become a copy of you. You have to dare to step out without standing on stage, because when you don't need it, prove who you are, who you really are, create something meaningful. Thank you have accompanied to the end of the journey. Book to 1. Maybe you are not just listener of a summary, you are the person quietly digging up unanswered questions. Easy to answer: how to create what is really new. Is there any formula to escape repetition? And if the future never existed, how can we get there on your own 2 feet? By listening is not just with the ears but intuitively. You have confirmed a thing, you are not satisfied with the model's old picture, and that little thing is a heavy start. This book not promising that you will succeed, but it requires courage. Brave: not follow the trend, not the crowd. Winter. Don't start a business just to survive, but to build something that makes others. Protests cannot be ignored. If internal this content makes you think of a new idea, re-establish an old assumption, or simply stop for 3 seconds to ask yourself if you are copy someone else's conversation between me and you really happened. You now I want to hear it from you. Let's leave your review or comments about this book the way you want it. 1. A sentence, a paragraph, a paradox, or a what you don't agree with doesn't have to be beautiful, just be real, because I believe that listening, the deepest listening, begins with the person others dare to say what they think without being punished. Censor. If you see the idea in not to evoke something in you, please suggest more books you like. I want to tell it this way. Not through speaker, not insensitive, not borrowing anyone's words. Hi, hope we will meet again next time. Go from 1 to 2 not by numbers but by profound inner transformation in you.